Hi there, everyone. This is Sharon with Self-Care You Podcast, the intersection of self-care, advocacy, and compassion for the self-caregiver. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so remember that self-care is all about you. Self-care you is all about you. And it's, for you to take care of yourself in always. And a lot of times we like to look at it from, to make us feel good, but it's also to, yes, it's to make you feel good, but more so that you can be ready for things in life that comes up. That's what it's all about. So self-care is knowing yourself inside out and being truly honest of what you need, being honest about what you bring to the table and what you need to bring to the table. It's like, do you need to improve or something? Do you need to learn something? What do you need to what do you need in your life to be better? Like, what is the best version of yourself? Because I know for myself how I was yesterday, or 6 months ago, or a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, 15. I would love to say the core of who I am, the loving aspect of who I am, and even that little fire in me is there. However, it's expanded to be even better. And so, in saying all of that, this episode is about life's lesson. I want to talk a little bit about that. It's like, do you truly sit and reflect, think about what are your life's lesson, and not just what you learned, but how do it manifest in your life today? I know a lot of times we like to, like when we have an experience or interactions with others or something happen, and I always like to leave out, trauma, especially the big T trauma when it comes to abuse and assault, because those really do majority of the time require therapy, require um, somatic embodiment practices. And even though I really feel like when it comes to the somatic embodiment practices, we need that anywhere, because especially with the little T. But in saying all of that, really, really, really look at yourself. And again, when I say that, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I think that sometimes we don't want to, because I know even for myself, it's kind of like, I remember after a breakup, and the guy was dating at the time, he was like, Sharon, I'm just not happy. And at the time when I interpreted that, it's like, oh, how can you be unhappy about me? But to be honest, not to say it really was about me, because for every aspect of our lives, it always comes back to us. If I am unhappy, if I'm unhappy, I need to look within to see what is making me unhappy, because you can go and date someone else, then there's something else. There's something about that person. There's something about that person. There's something about that person. And that's for all of us. Now, the other side of that is that, do I need to look at myself to say, okay, what are some of those things? Because to be honest, that's really a generalized statement if someone cannot tell you exactly what that is. And so the other thing is that, like, sometimes after experience, a lot of times we hear people say, oh yeah, I don't trust people. It's like, that's all you got out of there? You know what I'm saying? That's all you got from that, is that you don't trust people. So you're going to go through life not trusting people. And what ends up happening, people are not able to trust you, and sometimes you can be so cautious that you don't even trust yourself in order to make really good decisions. And hopefully, when it comes to life, and again, remember the four pillars of self-care. It's self-awareness. That is the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that drives you. It's the self-awareness that we know, and then to become self-aware of what's underneath, the subconscious part of ourselves that's really in the driver's seat. So really, really, really important to be able to contemplate, to be able to look at ourselves and like, I wasn't too happy. Yeah, I can see why someone can be unhappy. I can see why, this and that. To be able to see yourself from another person's point of view. Now, I do want to say with that, in that, even with and seeing someone from their point of view, just like when we see other people. Now, let me, whew, let's say something here. When we see other people, we're right. But when someone sees us, we're still right. Meaning they're not wrong. Okay. We know that's not always true. But one thing I do want to say in that, sometimes the way that other people see us, sometimes it can be the truth. Then sometimes it can be their perception, meaning their life experiences and how they see the world. And it doesn't mean that it's really true about us, because we love to be able to see it from that point of view, right? But what if what they see about you, it is the truth? Because we have blind spots. We do not see any and everything about ourselves. So sometimes, in order for us to truly have growth, is to be able to listen, to be able to see, to be able to feel and have an experience from other people' point of view. So to me, that is more of what life lessons is that how can we take those things that may not be so gentle about ourselves and how we can turn it into something else, and not just a life lesson where it's internal to us. Like, how can we cultivate that and make it manifest on the outside world, where it can become something so beautiful, where we can show other people what we have learned, for either, like, not to make the mistakes that I've made. I don't really like calling them mistakes, but sometimes I just say there are some steps or certain rooms that we may not need to go. So what are those things for you? And so when it comes to life lessons, and this is where the self-care really comes to play, is to really be able to completely be honest with yourself, or where you are, where you need to grow. Like when it comes to being successful, it's being successful within yourself in order to have the external, even though, we see it. Entertainers and, I say, famous people, they're talking about it more and more. If you really listen to them, their lives, is it truly better? You know what I mean? They have more access to things, but is it truly better when it comes to fulfillment? Is it truly better? And two examples that I would say is just that, to be able to reflect on different things in that, like, what are the life lessons, and what can you do to make your life better? And what can you do to be able to make other lives better? I don't know, have any of you seen? If you have not, definitely watch it. Have you seen Kirk Franklin's YouTube video about fathers, or Father's Day? And it's pretty deep. And pretty much, for those who don't know, he has been adopted, and has not had a loving home environment. Despite all of that, or should I say, despite all of that, he's come into the world, and to be able to really give his voice and give the voice of others, and how he's able to do that. So that's one example of how someone can take, their life lessons, and to be able to turn it around even when they are in turmoil themselves. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about. Another example, and again, I'm talking about like going deep within ourselves, to be able to think about ourselves and the world in a different way. Again, it's not easy. Kerry Washington, I recently saw something, I'm saying saw a podcast on her. And actually, I saw two, which they were really good conversations where there was a family secret, and she didn't find out until I believe she was in her 40s, I believe, when she discovered it was right after Scandal had ended. I didn't really watch that show. I watched it a couple of times, but didn't really follow it as much. But I know that she's a fantastic actor. And but anyway, she shared a family secret that she was dealing with. Again, that she discovered, or she was told after that show, in that she's not adopted. Where her father, who she thought father, her biological father is not her biological father, and the impact that that had on her and working through that. Of course, that's her father, and everything, but just kind of like when the thing of family secrets, and if you really listen to her, it was almost like there are things within that even though the secret was there, but when it comes to the true closeness of our family, um what I got from it, that it really wasn't there. So by me saying that, it's kind of like, what are the life lessons that we can learn from others? What are the life lessons that someone can learn from you? And it doesn't mean you take those life lessons and just because, oh, I'm not going to be around people. No, don't be around everybody, because believe me, sometimes the life lesson can be, okay, I need to pay more attention to this. I need to do more of this. I need to do less of this. And even when it comes to our work, and I would definitely encourage you to look up Miles Moreau, Dr. Reverend Miles Moreau. I cannot remember the name of it right now, but he did a wonderful, of course, he just doesn't preach, he teach, I wish I could remember the name of it. Could be financial something, but he has a really good definition. I'm looking down because I know I wrote it down. I just don't have it in front of me right now. Didn't realize I was going to be talking about it, to be honest. But anyway, he really defined what work is, and like your job and your work are two different things. Like your job is what you do. I put it like this: your job is what you do. Your work is who you are. And so, you see what I'm saying? So, this is why self care is so important. The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to life lessons, in that when it comes to that self care, we all love the luxury part, but also know that self care is the challenging part, is to challenge yourself, is to do the work so that you become a better version of yourself. It's like the way that life unfolds is like, oh yeah, I want to have peace. It's going to bring you into experiences so that you can learn how to have peace. You want to have more patience. Even if you want more money, it's kind of like, what are the things you need to do in order to have? What are the mindset you need to do? How do you need to move your body? And so it's all of those things. And I'm going to go back, and I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or if I said it on I know I've said it on the Self-Care You nugget, in that, what if the standard is what we may have interpreted as being too much, is being a lot? What if that is the standard for us to be the best version of ourselves? So, in saying that, are you cheating yourself? Are you cheating the world? Are you cheating those around you of your true best version of yourself? Meaning that we're not doing enough so that we can be more than enough. Could be cheating yourself. I even look at myself as like, ooh, what am I not doing to be the best version of myself? Do I need to do more of certain things so that I can be the best version? And when I look, it's like, ooh, yeah, I can do a little bit more push-ups, but I can also do a little bit more of expressing my feelings, expressing my viewpoints to certain individuals a whole lot more. I can, they're definitely in the past where it's like, yeah, it's that follow my standards and to set up boundaries, and it's almost kind of like no matter what. And so, where are you shortchanging yourself so that you can be nice and kind? Because being nice and kind, hmm, I don't know. As they say, the nice person finished last, the nice guy, the nice woman, the nice person finished last. I can see why. I understand that better now. It's not just because you're nice. I get it now. So, in saying all of that, when it comes to you taking care of yourself, remember the four pillars of self care: self awareness, sitting in silence, deep rest, and movement and action. And again, self awareness is the biggest. It's the one that requires a whole lot of work. It requires you to be, do, and say things that you may not want to say, but that is self care because you are showing people how to treat you. You're showing yourself, you're teaching yourself how to treat you and how to be. Remember to be. And to be in part, it's not something that you can learn per se. It's something that comes in practice. The more that you are cultivating yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and even financially, that is how you become, be more of yourself. And so, just like when it comes to Self Care You podcast, again, the intersection of self care, you're advocating for yourself. Again, when you're setting up boundaries, you're advocating for yourself. When you're being honest, you're advocating for yourself. And compassion, have compassion for yourself when you need to challenge yourself, when you need to challenge others. Have compassion for yourself when you don't even understand yourself or what's going on. That is okay because everything always works out. Just know that because, again, when it comes to self care, in addition to the luxury part of life, it's also about you challenging yourself so that you can be the best version because your best version doesn't come from, we love for it to be, but it also comes from, let's say, if you're in yin, doing yin yoga, and you're in a pose for most of the time 2 minutes, sometimes it can be a little, I say 2 to 4 minutes, and you're on the edge, you know let's say you're doing like a split and you're on the edge and you just want to move, but how long can you stay in that position? Or you're doing frog pose with what's that? What is this called? Can't remember right now. I know what it is. Goalposts. Frog pose, pose with the goalposts. And oh, I love it. And we're going to be doing some of those. So definitely, check out any upcoming classes and workshops so that you can get your self-care on. Because that is where it's at. It's like doing the things you don't really want to do, but that's good for you though in the long run. Because we are cultivating ourselves for the future anyway. Everything we're doing today, whether we know it or not, is helping us. Da, 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 da. And so with the last piece, again, with the having compassion for self-caregivers, because you're taking care of yourself so you can be better. Yes, it is about the rest, but it's also about the other things that come in between, that is where it's at. So thank you for listening to this episode of Self Care You podcast.